I need to sound buff.
We should all talk in this deep voice for the rest of the time.
That'd be a really funny way to start.
We're all
Hello,
buff.
welcome to Sips and Clips.
We got to pump you up.
We gotta do pump
You up.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Sips and Clips. I am Michael Schusterman.
And I am Lian McFalls.
And today we have a very special guest, a close personal friend of mine.
Oh, I say my name?
Now you can say
Zachary
your name.
Harrison.
Zachary Harrison. Zachary and I worked together on 2 different movies, and we brought Zachary in today to talk about his experience in the industry and his experience being a muscle mommy.
Correct. That's the right term.
I think that's the.
I don't think I've
the
heard that
official
one
term.
before, so that's new to me.
My wife's the muscle mommy.
But we first, obviously, as always, need to talk about what we are sipping on. I am crazily sipping on a black coffee today.
Oh.
Although I did have an almond latte for all of my almond latte stands out there earlier this morning. I just finished it before I got here.
I just shake my head at this very consistent man who does not like to spice anything up.
I like to spice up a lot of other parts of my life, Lian, but I keep some things on a stable line.
Yeah. Zachary, what are you sipping on?
What were you-
What
what were you
sipping
sipping on?
Well, I panicked and I chugged my coffee, so I will have to pee here in the next 10 minutes. But I normally do almond lattes as well. But
Oh my God.
Yeah.
There's no love for almonds necessarily. It's just that when it comes to a cup of almond milk, it's only 35 calories compared to the 90 calories in a whole milk cup. So it's all about calories.
From my
If you
health
think-
guru.
You look at an oat milk latte, that shit's like...
Oat milk is as many calories as standard milk. So
Yeah,
it's only reason to go for it is for, personal reasons and dietary reasons as far as
I
lactose.
had oat milk if you would wanted it.
No, I like black coffee. Yeah.
Well, sorry, I wanted to give you the calories of oat milk.
I know. Keep me going.
Keep you going. I'm sipping on some black tea, nice Lady Grey, which I just got into Lady Grey tea. I usually just drink straight black or green because that's the kind of consistent person I am.
So you got to have a baseline, Leanne. There's
Consistent
nothing
and
wrong with
boring.
having a baseline.
Yes.
But today we're here to talk about, obviously, as always, talk about assistant editing and hear about Zachary's journey into the business and how he got started. And then specifically, Zachary is really into fitness. So we brought him on to talk about how he fits that into his day-to-day and how he fits that into his busy career as an assistant editor.
Because as many of you might not know, being both an editor and assistant editor is a lot of sitting and very little movement throughout the day. So...
And just to give my experience, I'd met a lot of assistant editors and editors before I met Zachary. And then I met Zachary and I was like, what is happening? Like, I have never... Zachary was like very into fitness, going to the gym all the time from the cutting room. And I was like, I've literally never met an assistant editor like this in my life. It was like very jarring the first time I met him. And so, but I also think, and you can attest to this, on the projects we've done together, I think your presence on those shows and your experience in fitness has led to the bettering of health of everybody in the cutting room.
To an extent, I think that for the most part, a lot of people in editorial have an interest in fitness. And I think in general, a lot of people are definitely interested in weightlifting. There's just a gatekeeping of just this fear of where do you begin and where to start. Everyone, they always say, when's the best time to start working, and it's today, right? Everyone always goes, well, next week I'll start that. But then what happens is people find an interest and how can I help you get started? Because I love helping people on that journey as far as setting up workout routines and working out. And I also think that a lot of people think that going to the gym is 45 minutes on a treadmill and just being miserable. And most of my fitness comes from weightlifting. And when people start doing that, they realize how much more fun it is. And so I help people get started on that, and then turns into everyone is kind of a lot of people.
Yeah.
In the editing room, will start working out.
Yeah, we'll start going to the gym together as a cutting room after the workday ends or whatever, or on the weekends or something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I also find interesting, and sorry, I'm just gonna tell a quick story here. When I was on Masters of the Air, I had bought a standing elliptical because they spent so much time just QCing and watching episodes, and I'd be like, I could be doing something. Well,
Yeah.
instead of just
Yeah.
sitting here and doing
We
it.
have standing. Zachary and I have
Standing
standing
desks.
pads, we had treadmills. We
Oh,
had treadmills,
treadmills,
under our
yeah.
desk. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I found interesting is that people would come into my room to ask me to do something or some task, and it was like no one would bat an eye that I was physically walking or running or whatever you want to call it on this standing elliptical, and they were actually like, oh, good for you. Like
Yeah.
supporting, yeah, you work out while you're working instead of being like, oh my God, like you're focusing on working out instead
Yeah.
of like doing your task.
I've never gotten a negative response to the treadmill. Every time it's always been a
Yeah.
like, whoa, what is that? And then people want to like see how it works.
Yeah.
And then because I got the treadmill when we were on Creator, I got the treadmill first, and then I had
Yes.
it, and then Zachary found a better treadmill, and I was always like, damn it, Zachary found the best, because Zachary had a folding, yours would
Yeah.
fold in the middle.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I'm not a big fan of standing desks personally. Like,
Yeah,
I'm
me neither.
I'm a taller guy, so like my back starts to hurt after a while. So I got when you had your treadmill, and I was like very envious of it because we're working long hours.
Yes.
And for me, I don't want to be on the treadmill the entire day. That's crazy from my perspective. So I found a folding one.
Yeah.
It's like pretty gimmicky, and like I'm pretty sure it's gonna fall apart like any day now.
No, but it totally makes sense because you could fold it and then bring your chair back.
Yeah.
And then fold it back and then bring your chair back.
Yeah, the best part was like I basically my routine for a while was like I'm gonna have after lunch I just raise the desk, unfold the treadmill, and just do like a 30 minutes or so to an hour. And if I know I'm working late, like for the QC something that night, is nothing better than just like unfolding it and watching down your cut, and
Yeah.
then just like it in a weird way it almost. I think a lot of times people want to multitask something. It's like for some reason when that one of those tasks is walking, you find yourself
Yeah.
better at QCing.
100%. It's
Yeah.
way easier to like watch down 3 reels if you're walking than if you just have to sit there and like be like, oh my God, I've seen this movie a million times. But if you're like
Definitely,
walking,
yeah.
you can get through it so much easier.
Because you're keeping yourself active.
Yeah, you're
so
just
your
doing
body's
something.
still kind of like
Yeah, your brain can
stimulating.
focus, yeah.
I would
Yeah.
literally, after lunch, like you, I would literally have sort of like clothes to change into. And so I would literally change into gym clothes.
Oh, really?
And then because what would happen is I would actually get hot and sweaty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're wearing jeans
Yeah.
and like a nice-ish shirt,
Like a work
and now you're
outfit.
sitting in your silhouette, that's not
Yeah.
very
You
comfortable.
need to get a fan. So like if you
Yeah.
do get
I did that
We
too.
had
I
box-
did a
we had-
fan.
I had a box fan on Creator.
so like if you ever go running outside versus like running on a treadmill, like people tend to sweat way more during the treadmill because what happens is you don't have that breeze kind of cooling off your skin
Right,
and licking
yeah.
the heat off. So you kind of sit in your own heat aura. So that was like one of the first things I learned. Okay, I need a fan. And then another one I started doing, which is I started wearing on days I knew we were going to be working late and I was going to do a lot of walking. I would wear workout compression underwear because
Really?
oh yeah, you got to avoid the chafing when you're walking like 3
That's so
hours
funny.
on the treadmill.
But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Zachary, I want give us what's your story? How did you end up in LA? How'd you end up in this business? And then how did your health and weightlifting and all that fit into that? When did that come about?
So I moved to LA about 11 years ago now, and I'm from Indiana originally. I went to Ball State University, and I wanted to be in editing since high school. I worked on our school program there, and we did a weekly show that I worked on as well. And for me, I told myself I was always gonna. My backup plan was literature in case film stuff never worked out. And at the end of the day, which makes a lot of sense, it's always it's all storytelling at the end of the day.
Like editing literature?
No, just like
Writing?
teaching.
Oh,
teaching.
teaching.
I was gonna potentially be an English teacher, which was a tough part for me because I'm terrible at spelling, but I'm good at storytelling. So I was it was a real dangerous territory for me. So ended up moving to LA like a month after graduation because I just had to get out of Indiana, out of my hometown. It's like quicksand. The longer you're there, it's harder to get out. And then I spent 2 years doing reality television, and then about 3 years doing marketing, and then I finally got on my first scripted show, and that's where from that.
When did you move out here? What year?
2013.
2013.
Yeah.
Oh, so you've hit your like
Almost
11
over
years.
10 years.
Yeah. I mean,
How'd you get your first reality gig? What was it?
So my college seminar professor, I helped him with his documentary shoot at the same time. It was just just trying to absorb as much as I could, and also kiss ass for a better grade on my seminar. And he's a very nice guy, and we got along really well. And at the end of our seminar, he reached out to about 4 of us and told us that his niece worked in reality television in Los Angeles if we wanted to reach out and if we're interested in moving. And so that was my fall semester. And so I spent basically from the fall semester to spring semester just every month or so, like emailing her and just like check in and see how things are going. And me and her built a rapport.
So
And
you're like, this is my first real connection to LA.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
in Indiana. You're like, this is my connection to LA. This is how I'm going to get out there.
Exactly. And I did the whole like, find a good reason to touch base. Like, I'd email her and be like, hey, I'm thinking moving in June. Is that a good time to go out? And then around May, I was like, or April, May, I'm like, oh, what are some good areas to look for apartments? And eventually I could tell she was like invested in me at that point.
Okay.
So
you're like building this full,
Yeah.
or this major connection at least before you
Yeah.
came out here.
And then when I got out here, she was very kind and was trying to get me some day play stuff as a transcriber in reality television. For those that don't know what that is, and this is probably one of the first jobs replaced by AI, is I listen to all the interviews for reality people being interviewed, and I type them out word for word, and then they use those as scripts to do Frankenbites. And
like the story producers use that stuff.
Yes,
to like put
story
Yeah,
editors.
yeah.
Story editors.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
kind of a unique position that I think is only around reality TV for the most part. So, but
It's
I
also
was
just so like tedious to do.
yeah.
And you're just sitting
Are you
there
doing this in Avid, like
talking
in
with
No, it's transcription programs that
Okay.
that spit out text files.
Oh, okay. So
And-
like Script D or whatever.
Yeah, I
those
can't remember
things.
what the program was called, but like it's like you got keyboard shortcuts for
Yes.
like jot downs and who's talking at the time. It was a real pain, but like I made sure to like make friends with people, so like there and I started shadowing the night assistant editors. So after
Okay.
about 4 months of doing reality television stuff, I got my first like night job as an assistant editor. I was on the night shift for about 8 months, and from there I'm just kind of jumping around and I made sure to stay as an assistant editor because it's easier for lateral movements.
And so you're in reality. Do you know that you want to be unscripted and you're trying to figure it out, or you're still trying to figure out what you want to do?
Scripted was always the goal. My goal
Okay.
was always feature films. Like, that's what I always wanted to do.
Yeah.
And like, that's, I make sure to tell it to students all the time that come to LA and are kind of disheartened by like how things are going when they first get out here. And it's like, well, I was here for almost 7 years before I was doing the thing that I wanted to do fresh out of college. And
Yeah.
some people you get more fortunate, Michael Schusterman, and get to jump on something right away. That's awesome. And then, but there's no wrong way to get there. And I look at it kind of like high school where I enjoyed the entire process, but I would never go back.
Okay, so you're working reality. You get a job at Trailer Park.
Yeah, Trailer Park was where I was doing behind the scenes featurettes and promos for social media.
And
How did you get that from reality?
So, I mean, this is a good cautionary tale for meet a lot of people. So what had happened was I had a small hiatus between seasons of Bar Rescue, and I was going to take a week or two off just to kick it. It was I've only been in LA about a year, and it's my first vacation for the most part, or time off. And I got suckered into going to help a cooking show for 3 days because they were really behind on polling and ingesting media and getting their B-roll selects. So I just went and helped them for 2 days, and the post supervisor on there, me and her got along really well. And a year later, she had called me and said, I'm at Trailer Park now. Do you want to come work on this? And because they were doing a push from Final Cut onto Avid, and no one in marketing knew how to use Avid, so they were poaching reality assistant editors.
Oh,
I didn't do that. So you didn't apply to Trailer Park. You got headhunted.
No,
basically.
actually, the crazy thing was, and I'm not superstitious or religious by any means, but a month prior, I had gotten my first lead assistant editor job on a project, and I was making decent enough money now. I told myself that I was going to take a year to make some money and then leave reality TV and try to do what I could. And I wrote down a list of 5 companies I wanted to try to get into.
Yeah.
And Trailer Park was number 2 on my list.
Wow.
And then a month later, they called me. So I was like, this is pretty crazy. So,
Wow, that's great.
yeah, I got really
That's
fortunate.
awesome.
And then you were at Trailer Park for how long?
3 years.
3 years.
So then after Bar Rescue, because you had that hiatus, once you got to Trailer Park, you then just kind of left
Yeah.
Bar Rescue, right?
I did not
yeah.
go back to reality
go
after
back.
that. I made sure there was opportunities to go back, and there was honestly more money in reality TV versus marketing.
I've
but
heard that.
the medium is so much. I just didn't
So
want to
you
go back
looked
to it.
at Trailer Park as a way to get into scripted, or you looked at Trailer Park as this is something you were interested in doing?
I looked at it as just something that's interesting to get into, and I was a bit naive and thought this would be an easier way to get into scripted. Looking back on it now, I think that the path from reality to scripted might be a little more linear
Straightforward.
because it's there's a lot more overlap. But I just thought like, oh, now I'm working on movies. I'm like right next to them making the movies,
Yeah.
which, but once you realize you're there, you're basically just a vendor and you don't talk to anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard that it's difficult to get from reality to scripted.
Yeah. I mean, it depends. Yeah. Like the nice thing is that like you get a lot of looks at Avid, and you're basically doing a lot. When you work in reality, you're essentially the dailies facility and an assistant editor, because you get all the raw materials, you're transcoding them, and you're also onlining it. Like that's all things I had to learn to do.
Yeah.
But it
Wow,
was also
yeah.
one of the reasons, the selling point for my first scripted show. It was a really low budget show, and they were looking for someone that could basically help with dailies potentially, and maybe even help with onlining. So since I knew how to do that, fortunately I didn't have to do any of that, but it was one of those things that they could potentially look into.
So what was the jump from trailer park to scripted finally?
So I was happy at Trailer Park for a good amount of time, because like I was there, like a lot of great people were there, and I was in a transitional period where it was still kind of artsy and free. And then I kind of felt like I always told myself as long as I was learning and like growing, it was gonna be okay, and I would just keep going down that path. And then my last year there, I just really started to feel my wheels spin. There was not much growth within, and I just kind of wanted something different. So I spent probably a good year or so reaching out to everyone I knew that had any friends in scripted, and it's like, let me take you out to coffee and like ask you questions, and just hitting those up a lot. And I met a great guy. He was the husband just of one of my coworkers, and he worked in scripted. So I hit him up a bunch and just talked to him a lot, and just was trying to absorb as much information. He gave my resume out to a bunch of people, like as much as he could, but like never any callbacks. And I got unfortunate that an editor who was recently just an assistant editor, like was doing his first project solo as an editor, and wanted an assist that was very green. He didn't want to get it. I think he just didn't want to bring someone that was seasoned, that was going to be like, maybe you should do it this way. He wanted someone he could just kind of mentor and help get in. And so that was my first editor.
So this was an editor you knew, or an editor that
I did not know, but I was recommended to, and then we ended up doing 4 projects together.
Oh, okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
My first scripted show ever was for an Adult Swim show, like an 11-minute runtime.
Okay,
like,
that's
really
great.
bizarre, crazy show.
So what was your first feature?
My first feature was when I was circling back with that editor I worked with in television, and he got his first feature as well. So we were both being brought on to this low-budget indie feature. That's how I got my first feature credit.
I see.
And it was like a massive like pay cut and everything, but I was like, well, all I need is that first feature credit on my
credit.
resume,
Right,
so
right.
people
Prove
know
that I've done movies before.
exactly.
So you're into features now. At what point, I don't know, were you really into fitness when you were in Indiana? At what point were you like, man, I really like weightlifting? Not because I know like everybody to some extent is into fitness, but I think when I think of you, I think of it as like it's like a hobby of yours. Like it's a genuine hobby of yours, or it's a genuine passion, it's a genuine interest. Like when does it, if it was just a passing interest or passing hobby, when does it become something where you're like keeping spreadsheets and tracking it and thinking about it regularly? And we need to clarify, Zachary is not a health professional. This is not health. This is not medical or health advice.
I have no degrees or licenses.
This is just a dude we're talking to.
It's just simply some advice that he might give someone who wants to stay
Passing on the street.
fit while also working 12, 16-hour days, and how you fit that into your schedule.
That's the very specific intersection that I think is very different from a lot of other people. Where like a lot of people are like, yeah, I work out, I go to the gym, I work a 9 to 5, and I go to the gym from 6 to 7. Like you live in a world in which that is genuinely not possible, right? Like it's more often that you work from like 9 to 8, and then it's like, how do you factor in all those kinds of things?
Yeah.
So when did you become interested in fitness and health?
So I mean, I was a very obese child. Like I was, I weighed the same in 5th grade as I do right now, around 200 pounds.
Wow.
So I was a big boy. I was also obsessed with film. So like as a young kid, like I love movies. So like I at some point, like when I was getting ready to go to college, I found myself in this whole idea of like, I want to be the protagonist of my own story, that kind of thing. And, it also didn't help that I was raised on Batman and Dragon Ball Z. So all my idols were very in shape. So when I got to college, I found myself with a lot more free time and like on my own. So I just started going to the gym, and a lot of it's just trial and error, just trying to things I like and what I want to do. And that's one of my freshman year in college, I lost 50 pounds. So like that's when I was like got really skinny and like lost a bunch of weight. And then I got really into like weightlifting, and like that's been the thing though where I would say honestly I didn't know anything about weightlifting until about like maybe 4 or 5 years ago. A lot of it was just going to the gym and just just being active. But it is tough to do with our hours.
Yes.
I would say like the thing that people don't like to hear, like everyone wants a quick fix. Like, what's the secret? What do you do? Like, well, if I just 5 minutes in the morning of this and it does this, there's nothing like that's easy or shortcut. I think the thing that me and my wife do is like even when we're working out, like our priority is our job. And then our second priority is making, we don't find time for the gym, we make time for the gym. But we also have like, it's kind of like the little engine that could, even like in our craziest, like, if we're previewing and we're working like 16-hour days or something, we always try to do a little bit of something to try to just make sure it's always going the right path.
Wow, even on a 16-hour day.
Yeah, I mean, like if that means like, I'm doing extra walking on the treadmill at work, right?
Yeah,
like
okay,
something
I
like
see,
that.
I see.
Or, but like even looking this crazy, there's times where we would get off at work at like 9, 10 o'clock at night, and I'm basically just driving straight to the gym.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
but maybe I'm only going to be there for 20 or 30 minutes tonight. I'm not going to be there for an hour. You know, just as long as something is being done. So that's a big like thing. Honestly, the hardest part when we're working those crazy hours isn't finding time for the gym. It's the dieting. That is the hardest part when you're ordering out for lunch and dinner, and then you're also stress eating. Like that is the hardest part when you're working on a project. Like the discipline with that. Like I always balloon up a little bit, like 10, 15 pounds on a crazy project.
No, I mean, our relationship was, I met you when I started doing Don't Look Up.
Yeah.
I was a very normal weight. By the end of Don't Look Up, I had gained 45 pounds. I think by the end of that movie.
Oh, wow.
I was like much heavier, and then tried to get a little healthier. Was doing a few things here and there in between Don't Look Up and the project that we met on, Your Place or Mine. And then I meet Zachary on Your Place or Mine, and Zachary's like super buff, and I'm at this point in my life where I'm like, I'm struggling to walk upstairs. Like I'm like this is really tough on me, and I feel like this business is gonna kill me. I'm gonna have a heart attack when I'm whatever. And like I think I mentioned to you at some point. I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to get more into fitness, and then Zachary, you could see his eyes light up. He's like, you're trying to get into fitness? Like, well, come over here. I've got a spreadsheet. Let me show you my spreadsheets.
Oh my
and then
gosh.
no, but it was really helpful. It was really
Yeah.
like it was a.
Yeah, I get excited about helping people though, because like my
But it just showed me. It showed me that it was like that was a big thing of like I was kind of in a bit of a despair about it, because I was like, it's not possible to be healthy doing this job. Like that was just what I believed. I was like, I don't understand how anybody can be healthy doing this job. And I don't mean necessarily healthy as in like being super buff and bulky, just like being like a regular healthy weight and being like, able to feel like you're a healthy person. I just didn't think that was possible. And then Zachary kind of showed me for the first time that like, no, you can go above and beyond this if you really want to.
Well, you can also go the opposite way of when you're really stressed, then you don't eat.
Yeah, you get
and
super
then you
skinny.
get super skinny. I think on at one of my jobs, I lost like 10 pounds, and I had no idea why. I was like, and I'm already skinny to begin with, but I was like 100 pounds.
Wow.
And
oh my God.
I didn't know why, because I was like, I'm like eating and I'm like doing whatever, and people were like, you just must be stressed, because I didn't even realize it, but I was like, oh my God, I gotta like gain weight somehow. Like I don't know how to do this.
I'm very much a stress eater, and on Don't Look Up, when you have like that first time when you go out and get lunches every day, you're like, oh, well, I'm just gonna have this Cubano, and then I'm gonna have this. You're like, whatever. I'm hungry. I'm gonna just eat this, and you just like don't even realize what you're eating, and the next thing you know, you're like, wow, I'm gonna have a heart attack. I feel heart palpitations.
I feel like what also happens is that the idea that if you're getting lunches, it's like someone else is paying.
Yes.
So you're like, someone else is paying. I can treat myself to a burger and fries. And then the next day you're like, you know what? I'm going to treat myself to burger and fries. It's a Friday, and you're like, why don't I also get some ice cream with that too? And you're like, this is great. And then it's like 8 months later, and you're like, oh shit.
So I was the apprentice on Your Place or Mine. I get Zachary's. I was doing like PA and the assistant editing responsibilities on Your Place or Mine. So I would get all the lunches for the cutting room, and Zachary ordered the same salad. And I remember being like, you want the same? Like every.
Wow.
It was a Chipotle chicken salad from Tender Greens without avocado.
Yeah. I'm allergic to avocado. Nothing wrong with avocado. It's a personal thing.
I remember that, but
But yeah, I mean, like that was like when I first started doing scripted, I also gained weight right away, because it was the first time in the industry that without working like a late night and the companies treating us, that they were getting us a meal every time. And I'm one of those people like that when I go to a restaurant, I always do the same thing because I'm like, I don't want to waste money and get something I don't like. But then when
Yeah.
we're ordering, like, I'm going to be adventurous and try all these different things. And I was
Yeah.
just ordering all this terrible food and
Yep.
I'd get ballooned up pretty
Yep.
quick.
But I learned that's like, I mean, when we did Creator, I told our PA, I'm like, if I'm too busy to get me lunch, just get me this salad. I learned that trick of like, if I don't pick a thing, just go to this restaurant that's next to the lot and get me this salad every single day. Like
That's why I
that'll
loved
always
working
be
the
fun.
Fox lot. The Fox lot
I
has
love
the
that Fox lot.
commissary.
Oh, that Fox lot was great.
Because I just made a salad every day. I take the P card, walk over, make my
Yeah.
own salad, and come back, and it was every day. That was great.
So then, going along with all of this, I mean, we kind of touched on it a little bit, but while you are working these crazy hours and you're trying to diet, what do you try to do? You just get a salad every day, or are you actually like counting the calories that you're eating? Like how do you manage that?
Well, counting the and so I'm sure someone who's far more disciplined than I would prep their own lunches and bring those. But like honestly, like when you're talking about trying to balance like long hours, also still going and being physically active, and also having a personal life, it's hard to meal prep. So I actually don't meal prep. Like what I do is like when I'm not working crazy hours, I make the same meals over and over again. Like I've been eating the same lunch and dinner probably for like 6 months now. But like I make those fresh every time because I've got the time to do it when I'm not busy. But like I don't, bring in my little Tupperware of my measured out meal. But what I try to do is just be a little more diligent when I'm ordering. Like you get an idea for like certain things that are like, when you're ordering a salad, removing certain things from it that are going to be the real calorie dense one, making sure you get the dressing on the side. Like my trick for most salads is either no cheese, because that's a lot of fat and calories right there immediately, and then dressing on the side. And then what I do is a little bit of the dressing that they give me, and then I just use hot sauce for the rest, because hot sauce is like a hack for any meal.
Oh,
It's
wow.
zero, like a good hot sauce will be 0 calories with lots of flavor. So you can just pour that on the most bland thing, and you just have a good meal. So that's a good go-to. I do that for everything. So I just try to keep it, and then I just make sure my dinners when I go home are back to that like standard meal prep that's more measured out. Like I weigh my foods and stuff like that to make sure.
And then you would say let's say you're talking to somebody is an assistant editor in the industry and they're interested in trying to get their health back on a better track. What would you say to that person?
Well, I'd say everyone's dynamic is different, but I always tell people that like everyone wants to jump in feet first like right away and go in and like just like I want to do everything right now tomorrow, and then it's like, well, that's going to be extremely overwhelming. I always tell people they should focus on fitness first, and then do that for a few weeks until you're in a routine and until it's just another thing you're doing. And
what do you mean by fitness?
So fitness, like, and that's another one's different. When people ask me to put a plan together, I always ask them, what's your goal? And how frequently do you want to work out during a week, and for how long? Because everyone's different. Some people are like, I want to go every other day. Some people are like, I've got 2 or 3 days only, and then you start to work from there. So most people want to go to the gym at least 3 times a week if they want to get into it. And I always recommend a balance of if their goal is to be aesthetically, if they have a ton of weight they want to lose right away, you can approach it with more like cardio and stuff. But I always say like, weightlifting is the best way to go. I think it's more fun. You're going to be more active. Most people are doing nothing to doing something, so you're going to get like amazing results right away if you're diligent with it and you stick with it. So I always try to put them on a plan of like 4 lifts, and you go 3 times a week, and you just do those. And I believe in a lot of people want to do like a different thing every single time. I don't like that. I like 6 to 8 weeks of doing the exact same thing, like day 1, day 2, day 3. And that way you know exactly what workouts you're doing and what weights you're doing, and it makes it so you're in the gym for the least amount of time. Because despite me like being in shape and like fitness stuff, I'd rather be doing other things.
Yeah. And then specifically tying this towards editorial, okay, this person's on this schedule, they're working 3 times a week, they're following there's this thing, and then bam, they've got screenings. And, they've got to do friends and family screenings, or they got to do preview screenings. And now they're working 14, 16-hour days for the next month, for the next 2 weeks, for the next 3 weeks. What would you say to that person? How does that person stay on the horse, or how do they get back on the horse, or how do they not fall off?
Yeah, at that point, you kind of just want to try to get into like what would be like essentially maintenance, because it's going to be hard for you to get any type of actual like gains from that, like, not just from like muscle, but just like health goal stuff. The thing is you want to do is you just want to set yourself back significantly. So like I would recommend trying to get some, like, take a walk after lunch. That's a big one. Like, because when you have all that food in your stomach and your body's not sure what to do with it, if you start doing some type of physical activity shortly after, it pulls the glucose and tells it to do a task instead of going to storage. So like take a walk after lunch. Make sure that you're not like stress snacking between the day. Like avoid going into the kitchen. Like if you don't go in there, then it's hard for you to like grab at anything. And if you can get any type of fitness in during the weekend, try to go. When I'm not when things aren't busy, I'm going to the gym probably 4 times a week. When we're hectic and we're doing previews, I only go once or twice because building muscle is very, very difficult. You have to be on top of that, and you need to be going to the gym at least once every 3 days. But when you want to just maintain muscle, you only have to go once or twice a week. That's it. Because you just have to remind your body, hey, we're using this, don't get rid of it. Like when during the creator, when we were doing 16-hour days, I would probably go to the gym the one weekday or weekend like
that you had free.
Go to the gym, do a full body workout to be like, don't go anywhere, muscle, we need you, and then try to find the night where we weren't working crazy late and go again. So that was always my goal.
I mean, it sounds like that it's like you said, it's just kind of like making the time. And this is just a preference thing, do you prefer to work out at night then as opposed to the morning?
Oh yeah, I can't do mornings. I'm not a morning person at all. And and especially since I don't want to feel rushed through my workout. Like a lot of times you're just like, okay, I'm at the gym, I have an hour before I need to be back home, showered, and heading to work. And then, so there's just too much pressure on it, especially like if traffic's bad or the machine I need is being hogged. And also for mental health wise, like going to the gym after a stressful day is amazing. Like, I mean, it's not for everyone, but for me, it's like I have an hour where I'm not focused on any work or anything doing anything besides just kind of turning my brain off and just, de-stressing. So like, that's been like really great for me. Like, and there's times where like they say like no one wants to go to the gym, but no one regrets going to the gym. Like that's always my mentality. Like when I'm long day, I don't want to go. And then I go there and like afterwards, like I needed that. That was a good detox.
So besides, you're working these long hours and then you go and you try and hit the gym at night. How is your sleep schedule? Is it pretty consistent as well? Or are you running off of 4 hours of sleep every night? Or like how does that work?
I'm pretty awful asleep, but that's that's nothing to do with fitness. That's just, I'm always a borrow from the night and regret it in the morning type person. But they say like sleep is probably one of the most important parts about fitness and health in general, just because that's when your body does all of its like recovery and like, not even just like mental health stuff too. They say like, like sleep is basically, especially dreams, when you're in a good sleep cycle, then you dream more frequently. It's a way to help process emotional situations without using adrenaline. So it allows you to like mentally reset. And also just recovery for your body. Supposedly, like when you're doing like extreme body like fitness, you're supposed to sleep like 9 hours a night because your body needs all that recovery time. So I sleep like 12 hours a night when I'm not working.
I mean, because I know when I was, exercise has always been a thing for me, and it's mainly just to stay healthy. But I know that I would get home from maybe a 12-hour day. And then I would always feel rushed to like, okay, on my way home, I got to like eat a banana. And then I'm got to get home and then exercise and then make dinner and then eat dinner and then sleep. And then by that point, it's like 10 or 11 o'clock. And then I have to go to sleep and I have to do it all over again. And I always felt like it was like nice, but then it started to become stressful almost, I guess. So do you stress at all about any of that? Like getting to sleep on time or like getting home on time or like making sure that you eat something before you're exercising so that you're not working out on an empty stomach or anything like that?
And this is when it comes to like being healthier, and like one thing that I do that I think that helps me a lot is I stick to like a pretty similar routine for most stuff. I mean, obviously the long hours can fluctuate and mess up your routine, but if I'm eating the same thing for dinner every night for whatever amount of time, there's no wasted time going, well, what do we do for dinner? And I'm checking the pantry, or if I'm seeing what I can pick up around me. And if it's the same meal I cook every night, I know exactly how much to put in and how to cook it. How long is it going to take before I have to turn that over in the pan? Mm-hmm. And so you get it down to like a routine. So like right now, like one of my meal preps, which is a very good meal, is basically air fried potatoes and steak. And so I know that if I start the air fryer for
At
5
this
minutes,
time.
at this time, it takes 5 minutes for me to chop it up and it's ready to go. And then by the 10 minutes, when I need to flip everything in the air fryer, it's when I can turn the stove off for the steak and I can go take a shower because then it's just finishing up. And so, like, that whole routine helps keep it very streamlined. And obviously if you get into meal prepping where you can, a Sunday you take like 3 or 4 hours cooking for the entire week, you just come home and I got to microwave something for 30 seconds and then that's that. You take that indecision out of there, which can be another stressor where you're not sure
Right.
what you want to have. But it's not for everybody. Like, my wife cannot have the same meal every night. She will go crazy. But for me, I don't care.
Speaking of your wife, we're also an editing podcast. We're also kind of a relationship podcast. We've kind of become. We like to talk to people about their relationships.
Well, I also
And-
because relationships in the film industry are pretty important too,
And they're pretty
because-
unique. Like it's one of the
Yeah.
industries where like everybody in the film industry, I mean, I get asked this, but it's like they're like, why does everybody in the film industry date other people in the film industry? It's like it's this very like cyclical kind of place where like a lot of film industry people have a difficult time maintaining relationships outside of the film industry. Not always.
I'm here. Hello.
That's true. You're right. That's true.
I tell people, I say, oh yeah, my boyfriend, he has nothing to do with the industry. He's in like biotech, and people
Yes,
are mostly
that's true.
like, oh my god, like good for you for like not finding someone in the industry. Like
Yeah.
good job. And then he'll tell people like, oh yeah, my girlfriend's an assistant, and they're like, oh my god, like how do you do it? Like, oh man, like I hope that's going well for And so we kind of get this very opposite
That's totally true.
these opposite reactions. But we do talk about people's relationships because it is, as Michael
it's
said,
it's a really notable part of people's lives, I feel like. And I feel like for you specifically, if Zachary's already odd being an assistant editor in a fitness, having a wife who's also an assistant editor in a fitness is even more odd. That's even more like peculiar. So how did that come about?
I mean, we met at Trailer Park doing marketing stuff, so that's how we started dating. But I got her into fitness. She was very athletic as a kid. Like, she did softball and like travel softball and cross country and sports and track. But so we when we started dating, she started working out with me and got into fitness. And like and I think for me it's far more about aesthetics. Like, I like to it gives me confidence, makes me feel good about myself, and so like I like feeling confident and healthy. For her, it's more about health. Like, she just wants to go and feel like, makes her feel better about herself and makes her feel like sleep better, and she feels healthier and she doesn't feel so sluggish.
How much do you guys share a workout routine? Or
We
is it
do
very
the
different?
exact same routine.
It's the same routine.
The exact
Oh, wow.
same, which
Yeah.
is great because like she is the poster child for like if women who are afraid to lift weights because like, oh, I don't want to look like the Hulk, and it's like that's not how it works. Like, Cassandra has like a very athletic build and very like traditional. You would not look at her and go, oh, like that's a straight up muscle mommy, but she's like in great shape. And it's all through weightlifting, and not like just like machines and stuff. Like, we do squats, like back squats. We do deadlifting.
So you guys don't do that much treadmill, that much cardio at the gym or anything like
We
that?
we have started switching to it recently, but that's only because we got to. So I got up to like 200 plus pounds, and I was like, I really don't want to get any bigger.
Yeah.
And for her, she's never had aesthetics about being bulky or like much more muscular, and so she's like, we both got a point where like, well, we don't need to grow anything anymore. We just maintain. And maintenance lifting is so much easier than powerlifting and trying to build muscle. So what we're doing now is instead of lifting for an hour 4 times a week, we do 30 minutes of lifting, that's it, and then we do about 20 minutes of treadmill just for some light cardio to help stave off calories.
And it must be a really nice way, like especially if you're both working, like it is a moment in your relationship to like have time with each other.
Oh yeah, it's almost like date night. Like,
Yeah.
we both have our long hours, and then we just vent for an hour about how stressed we are about work, and then back
Yeah.
and forth. And the nice thing is, once we leave the gym, then we have the rest of the evening to we can talk about literally anything else except like we don't need to
Right.
talk about work anymore. Like, it's like we've got that out, and so it's like fueling the press. It's just like,
Yeah.
you won't believe who wanted turnovers today.
the guy that I had to deal with was really annoying.
Sound mixer sounded really annoyed on the phone, and it made me upset.
We're supposed to leave at 7, but all of a sudden someone wants a pig's cut. So there's a little bit of that, but like I will say that one of the funniest things she told me about like 2 years into our relationship is it was a late day and we were both exhausted. It's like, we should really go to the gym. Like, and we both didn't want to go. I was like, we got to go. And then she's like, you're lucky that when you asked me to start working out with you, I was like obsessed with you because I would not be doing this right now. Because I got her into it. She was like, just like, that early relationship where you're just infatuated with each other so much. Like, I'll go weightlift with
You're like,
with
oh,
you.
this is something you're really
Yeah.
into. Well, of course I'm into it too.
Yeah, you're into it.
Yeah.
I'm into it. And then eventually she's like, she grew on her so much that like, she's like me now where if we go, like if we miss a week because things are crazy, we just can't go. We both feel like shit. And we just like, we need to go just to feel better about ourselves.
And then just from an assistant editing perspective, I mean, your wife is an assistant editor for features as well.
Yeah.
So do you feel like, has that been really I mean, you guys kind of both came into it in your own ways, like based off of the conversations that we've had together.
Yeah, we both had like, so we both heavily benefited with the hiring boom right out of the pandemic.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, so like I was already doing scripted television, but she was still in marketing, and I had been trying, to get her out of it for a long time. Like similar to people that helped me, get her resume out. And during the hiring boom, I was able to get her on a short project. I left for a TV show that was only going to be for 3 months, and she left for a TV show or a feature that was only 2 weeks. But it was like, where they were just kind of like,
Didn't matter. It just was a feature.
You have to get that foot in the door.
So, Zach, I also wanted to know if you've ever experienced burnout. Maybe you can
We
explain.
talk about physical fitness. I'd probably talk about mental fitness.
Yeah. And like, what is burnout? And if you've experienced it, how did you get out of
I'm
it?
sure there were moments where you were like, you didn't like what you were doing, or what you were doing wasn't fun, or it was really exhausting, or even on the stuff that you thought was fun. I mean, we did Creator together, and Creator was a kind of a monster of a movie. It took a lot out of us. There's a lot that goes in, obviously, to keeping your physical fitness together while you're doing a movie, but also just keeping yourself together as a person. So how do you finish a big project, and then how do you feel ready to go into the next one? Or how do you, when you're doing projects you're not particularly stoked about, how do you keep chugging forward?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think I always find good value in any project I'm on, even if it's particularly not the content I'm into. I still have a fun time doing it. Like, I for example, like during the strike stuff, or after the strike stuff, when work has been slow and still is kind of slow, I had worked on a little bit on a medical drama, and I'm not a medical drama guy. I am not into that at all. Just not my content. I like to consume, but I was working on this project, and I found myself having a good time. Like, there's small things that, like, little accomplishments in storytelling that you have fun with along the way, and you just got to make sure. Like, I feel like there's never been a project where I have been so miserable. Like, I always find little nuggets of things that you get to have influence on that makes you laugh or makes you happy. And as far as burnout, I think the going to features, while there is like far more hectic at times than television, the nice thing about features is like you get time off. Like
That's true.
You burn yourself out like by throwing everything you have at a project for a long time, and then you just get to hide for a couple months. Like if you have the time to do so, it's a bit of a luxury, but if you can do that, while television is like you wrap up a show and you're on to the next one. You wrap up a show and you're on to the next one. But yeah, as far as burnout, I don't know if I've really ever been like had to be much of a recluse. But at the same time, now in the last like 4 years, I've had stints of pandemic where a lot of people lost work for like 8 months or so.
Yeah.
And then with
Writer
the writer strike and everything.
Right.
So I guess that says burnout, just being extremely desperate at times.
Right. It could be the opposite.
But I will say during the pandemic, though, I got in the best shape of my life during the pandemic. Which is weird because like what a time to like decide to hunker down because like they say like you left lockdowns either what was it you're a monk, a chunk, or a hunk. And
I haven't heard that one.
You've got a sourdough starter.
Yeah. The good thing I learned about from that transition from working out in the pandemic to working out back in office is that like during the pandemic, when you have all the free time in the world, you can attack a lot of fitness problems through just excess, where it's like I'm working out every day and I'm doing an hour and a half or 2 hours every day, and you're going to get in great shape doing that because you're just throwing everything at it, but you're also getting severe diminishing returns from your workouts. So like that's when I had to learn to lift smarter and be smarter when I went back to the office, where I need to be able to get the same benefits from those liftings, but I need to do it now. Instead of 2 hours every day, I need to be an hour every other day. At like the minimum, and so that's why I had to learn to be a lot smarter about lifting.
That's applying more of the like science to it. Like
Exactly,
doing the
like,
research
yeah.
about exercises and compound exercises and
Yeah. So like that's where I learned a lot about like progressive overloading, which is like that's why I started doing spreadsheets, because my thing was I wanted to write down exactly what weight I'm doing
Yeah.
and how my success was on it. So when I come back to this workout, well, now I can up the intensity. And it sounds so like intimidating, but like I wish I could go back 10 years ago and have been lifting that way, because it would have been far better for me than my traditional, I was gonna go to the gym and I feel like doing this today, I feel like doing that today.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, when someone, like, says how I had to get in fitness, my eyes light up, because my thing is, I have 10 years of trial and error. Let me show you the shortcut to like what you should be doing right now. Like, I wish I was doing this when I was your age. You would have great results. So
And if you can hack it, Zachary will let you come to his workouts.
Oh,
and
I love
you,
doing that.
work you like a dog. I've gone with Zachary and then walked away from the gym being like, like,
No, I
like,
remember
oh,
what
Zachary,
happened.
great workout. And then he vomit in the parking lot.
No,
and then go
no,
to my-
I remember what happened. We worked out together, and at the end of it, like, I was like, "You did a really good job. You kept up." You're like, "Yeah, it wasn't that bad."
And then the next day-
you're like, "This is the most sore I've ever been in my life."
We're in an audio podcast, but I walked in stiff. I walked in, my arms locked in place, being like, Zachary, I can't move. I can't sit down.
It's like, welcome.
A lot of people in LA, especially, have this kind of idea of like, well, the only way I'm going to get fit is if I have somebody to guide me through this, and they hire a personal trainer. I mean, like, near where we live, there's a bunch of personal training gyms, like, actually, and I think a lot of people are like, well, I can't get fit on my own. What's your opinion about that? Are you like, you think it's a good idea to somebody to go out and get a personal trainer, or are you like, well, what do you think about it?
Especially with assistant editing, right? If you hire a personal trainer, I mean, you have to schedule them, and they'll say, which is true, like, you gotta be pretty consistent
be
with
consistent in
going to
your
see
times.
them.
Yeah.
So if you're assistant editing and your times aren't consistent, what's your thoughts on all of that?
So I've only ever hired a personal trainer one time, and it was a friend of mine, and I basically just paid them some money to help me come up with a workout plan, which they did as a friend thing. Not most personal trainers won't do that. So if you're like, because what I would love, and I think personal training would be great if it went this direction, is if it's like, I hire a personal trainer, we talk like this at a table for like an hour, and you go, hey, here's the workouts you should do. Let me help you get through them.
Like a 1 month check-in time.
Yeah, yeah, and then like we move from there. Most personal training, sometimes I find a little predatory. And some people need this. They just need someone to help them get through it, and they want variety, something different every single time. But personal training, usually, like, they come in and like, we're going to do a bunch of different things today, and when you come back every day, it's something completely different. They're just mixing it up, there's pros to that. Your body's going to get, it's really good for losing weight, because it's just being active is what you need when you need to lose weight. But if you want to put on muscle and be sustained, personal training sometimes isn't the best, because, if you see this person, 3 times a week, and you're doing something completely different each time,
You might not feel like you're getting your money's worth if you're doing the same exercise every
Yeah.
single day,
Or like, for me though, like I rotate right now through 4 workout days, and day 1 is the same workouts. But like, I think that if you have a personal trainer, but the thing that's good about that is I know what weight I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I know how many reps I can do. I have familiarity with it, and then I can track my progress. Like, I took this from 175, and now I'm up to 190. That's progress. When you're doing with a personal trainer, you rarely have that type of consistency. It's usually more of a variety of things, like kind of like CrossFit, where it's like, today we're just gonna be extremely active, which is very good for like losing weight and getting like leaner. But if you wanted to like have consistency on your own, and especially like trying to like schedule a personal trainer with our hours would be a nightmare. Like, you would be canceling more than you'd be going.
You're like, for 4 months, I can see you every single day. And then for 9 months, I cannot see you unless it's 11 o'clock at night on a Tuesday, whatever it is.
So, I mean, like, I think that, like, if you're someone that wants to get into fitness and the thing stopping you is you don't know what to do, then see a personal trainer. And what I would say is go see them for maybe like a month until you get an idea of kind of like how to push yourself, the things you're familiar with, and you gain a comfortability in the gym. Because that's the biggest thing. Like, much like getting into scripted, getting your foot in the gym door can be just as tough, because you're intimidated about going. You're afraid that everyone there is like, that's where the real weightlifters are, not people that are out of shape should go to gyms. It's like, which is always so funny, because you have to go to the gym to get in shape. It's not like,
the catch-22.
Yeah. It's funny because I had a personal trainer for a little bit.
How did you like it?
I liked it because it was sort of the same thing that you're saying of, I wanted to gain muscle, gain stamina, and the way that I had thought about it was, maybe like I just want to be taught how to do that correctly. Because I just hate wasting time doing something and then being like, oh, this whole time you should have actually been like using this muscle instead of this muscle, or like you've actually hurt yourself because you've done it incorrectly.
Yeah.
Right. So I was like, all right, I'm going to try and get a personal trainer just to teach me this stuff. And luckily it was during a time when I wasn't working. So I would go, I think I saw him maybe once a week or twice every month. And he would show me an exercise for like, okay, we're going to work on arms today, back and buys today, whatever it was. And then he would give that to me as like homework for the next week.
Okay.
I enjoyed it. It also gave me a sense of like, okay, I have to do this. It was almost like I was forced to be like, okay, well, this is my homework for the week. I have to get it done.
And you get skin in the game too. You're paying money.
And
Right.
I'm paying money for
And
it.
it might be for somebody who has never lifted weight before. It can be
Exactly,
intimidating to
yeah.
just watch YouTube videos and be like, okay, so I don't arch my back here and I do arch my back here, to just have somebody be like, you're doing it wrong. Let me show you how to
Yeah.
do it like this. You know, that might take some of
Yeah.
that stress off.
Yeah, and that's why I always that's why I like working out with coworkers and stuff, because it's like my thing is like really what most people want, and they think the personal trainer will give them, and it can, is the information on what they should be doing and help on how to do it.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, here's what you should be doing. Like, do these workouts this way, and why don't we go do day one together, and
Yeah.
I'll show you how to do those lifts, and like that you can have an idea how to do it, and now you're on your own.
Yep.
Like, and you figure it out, and like, and I think that consistency and routine is good. And now you should switch up your routine. You'll plateau obviously after 8 to 12 weeks, but I think it's good to do something consistent for to really track your progress versus like every day go to the gym. I'm doing something completely different to surprise the body, keep it guessing.
Yeah.
I do have one more question because we're talking a lot about you're working possibly long hours, you're keeping up with fitness, maintaining the muscle, but how do you kind of keep the rest of your life together, such as
In
running
shambles.
running errands, cleaning up the house, like all of that? Do you the same way where you have to gotta try to make time for all of that on the days where you might want to just sit around and do nothing because you've been working out, working long hours and all that? Like, or do you guys have a system, or is it just kind of like whenever we get around to it? Yeah, for both of you.
Yeah, I think for us, obviously, I think we definitely we personal time, right? Whenever we get that, as far as working long hours, when we have to dig into personal time, we usually do the fitness stuff first, so that eats into the personal
Okay.
time. There's times where we go off like late from work, and well, we're gonna go today, and we're gonna come home and go right back to bed. Like that's basically like our evening. And just because that's a priority for us,
But I guess it's nice to an extent that is personal time, like you and your
Yeah,
it's
wife,
considered
right? Like,
that-
that's
it's
still,
considered the
even if it
personal
is, you're
time.
both doing a thing and you're
Yeah,
exercising, you're still
it's-
spending time together.
And so instead of taking the three precious hours I have maybe this evening,
Yeah.
like instead of doing it catching up on a show or maybe relaxing in some fashion that you feel like you need to have, and if you need to have that, that's like you do what you gotta do. We're able to kind of like unwind a little bit at the gym and
But you can find that, you personally, you find that relaxation in the gym to an extent.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm not saying like we're perfect about it too. Like we definitely, when things are crazy, we go to the gym far less during that time. We also we would much rather go late on a weekday than go on the weekend. I would rather sacrifice my evening on a Wednesday or Thursday than go in the middle of the day, try to schedule going to the
On a
gym on a
Saturday.
Saturday when I have the whole day off. Like leave that for the full thing. I would say me and Cassandra have worked out probably every Friday night for the last 2 years, because that's just an easy night for us to go, because if it's a late night, we don't care if we're up late because we both have work typically the next day. So we go we don't Friday night is that's our date night. And
Yeah.
because our thing was would we rather go Friday night or Saturday day? It's Friday night, just get it out of the way, and
Yeah.
it opens up Saturday for us completely.
And then you go clubbing after.
We go clubbing afterwards.
Yeah.
You drop acid on the last workout.
Yeah,
So you're,
exactly.
you're ready to go.
So then I guess wondering though, so then the weekends would kind of be the time that you're doing everything, all the other maintenance stuff
Yeah.
that you
Going
kind
to
of need to
Costco.
do.
Yeah.
Going to Costco, cleaning the house, maybe meal prepping if that's what you decide to do on a Sunday. But yeah, I know that I felt when I was working crazy hours, I was like, man, the weekend, I'm doing all this catch up stuff, and I feel like I didn't have too much time to relax, because
Yeah.
I was, once you're done work, then you got to go and catch up on laundry, catch up on whatever else like you might need to do. Do you ever feel like that? Like you always just kind of, or are you just like, yeah, this doesn't bother me at all?
It doesn't. We're more homebodies, so I think that makes it a little bit easier. So like when we're relaxing or doing a Saturday night where our Sunday night, even like when we got nothing going on and we're just kind of relaxing home, that's what we'll kind of catch up on some stuff, and we try to like as far as like cleaning goes, like we're not the best at keeping up with sometimes with it, but like we'll do like little pockets of like set a timer for 20 minutes and try to clean as much as we can, because half the time when the timer goes off, you're like, well, I'm almost done anyways, and like kind of finding inspiration through motivation.
What was that? How did that come about? Like deciding to set I haven't heard of that.
Oh,
set
no,
a timer to clean.
So like it's a psychological thing that we kind of like do to ourselves, where basically what we do is like, okay, we need to clean, and it's like, well, it's only clean for 20 minutes. So you put you put a timer on your
Okay.
phone for
So
20
it's
minutes.
not like we got to clean today. Oh, we'll do this, and then it's like, okay, right now we're gonna clean. We're gonna put 20 minutes on the clock. 20 minutes of hard cleaning.
It's just we have 20 minutes to clean as much as we can. And then the weird part is you'll be amazed how much you can get done in
actually
20
get 20
minutes.
minutes.
Wow.
And then when you hit the 20 minutes, you're like, you know what? 10 more minutes, I'm done with the rest of this.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Do you listen to music when you work out, podcasts, or do you and Cassandra just talk to each other?
No music.
No
Like,
music.
Like we'll watch our own things if we do cardio, but like
What do you mean, like YouTube or?
I'll do YouTube. She watches shows. Like
Okay.
I'll usually queue up a bunch of different YouTube stuff that I just have play while I'm like, or I watch foreign films that have subtitles because it's the best way for me to lock in and just read.
Oh, interesting.
Interesting.
So I've watched Tokyo Vice exclusively on the elliptical.
Michael Mann.
My problem was always like if I had to read something, the constant up and down of my
Yeah.
body, I'd be like, I can't read
Well, I can't
what
jog.
this is saying.
So ellipticals can be kind of locked in, and my favorite cardio, honestly, is treadmill cranked up full incline.
Okay.
And you put it at like at a brisk walk, like 2 miles to
Okay.
2.5 miles, and I do that for 30 minutes.
Because
Like
you're still getting that burn, but you're not moving as much.
it's
Yeah.
like there's barely any head bob, so I can
Yeah.
watch my show or whatever I'm watching, and then I'm like going uphill the entire time, and don't touch anything, don't hold the treadmill. If you hold the treadmill and lean, you're taking away the incline. So
That's true, yeah.
and then you can do it in intervals. If you can't do it the whole time, you hold for like a minute and you go a minute, no holding, and then
Minute on,
build
minute
up your
off.
intensity. Yeah.
Another side, again, we can edit this part out too, but I'm just curious about your opinion on like a HIIT workout.
Oh, HIIT workouts are great. So I don't do HIIT nearly as much as I used to. HIIT is the best way to use HIIT is if you're wanting to be lean and you don't have a lot of you don't have weightlifting aspirations as far as like strength gains. But it's statistically it's supposed to be the best way to burn fat because and it's good for your heart because it's the high intensity makes you burn into reserved stored fats. Like that's supposed to be the logic behind it, and the intensity of it's supposed to help you that. Let's say you don't do any type of weightlifting at all, then HIIT would be great for you because when you're doing like HIIT jump rope is a good one, right? When you're pushing yourself so intensely, you're using your arms and your legs to such a high level that you're actually causing micro muscle tears like you would be doing during weightlifting. So it allows you to build muscle while also doing an extremely intense cardio workout. The negative though to doing HIITs when you're weightlifting is if I'm doing a HIIT workout on Sunday, but I have to do squats on Monday, my legs are tired from the day before, which is
Right.
encumbering my weightlifting gains.
Right.
Do you apply that same logic to all kinds of like workout classes, like what's the bicycle Soul Cycle
Oh,
or
like spin
Pilates
classes and
or
stuff?
spin classes or solid core or any of that stuff?
I mean, that stuff's all really, really good for like if you want to weightlift like once or twice a week, right? And you just don't like weightlifting, those classes are really great to supplement for muscle training and
Yeah.
cardio in between. So like if I'm like let's say I'm going on vacation and I don't have access to like a hotel gym or any type of fitness stuff, I'll do HIIT workouts when I'm on vacation.
Okay, and you're just
And-
doing those off your phone? Are you following a
I have
some
like just
instructor or
I just
whatever?
I use an interval timer. That's
Okay.
it. And then what I do is I just kind of pick what I want to do that day.
Okay.
So like my favorite HIIT cycle is like I was doing a lot like because the nice thing about HIIT is you're done like in 15 to 20 minutes because it's so
Right,
intense.
yeah.
You don't
Yeah.
need to do 30 minutes. So when you're on vacation, like you don't have to work out on your vacation, but if you're on vacation and you want to work out, or like let's say you go back home, like I'll visit back in Indiana, and if you don't have access to something, HIIT's really good because I'm two birds, one stone. I'm reminding my muscles we're using them, please don't go away, and I'm also burning off vacation weight. So like I'll do an interval timer where it's like 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. And then 30 seconds is high knees. Then I'm resting. 30 seconds of pop squats, or I'm jumping as high as I can. And I'm resting for 30 seconds. 30 seconds of mountain climbers. 30 seconds of, speed skaters. Like certain things like that where I'm using my whole body. It's very intensive. Rest for 2 minutes, repeat. And I'll do that for 12 to 15 minutes. And I do that like maybe 2 or 3 times a week to help kind of just make me feel like I'm not just completely losing it all while I'm like on vacation or away from home.
Now I feel
healthy.
I feel motivated to go work out now. Zachary, thank you for coming in
thanks
to
for
our
having me.
podcast.
Yeah, that was a blast.
Was a blast. I'm gonna go have a pre-workout and do an intense workout
I
and
am
then
doing
chug a
fun day, my
protein
fun day.
shake.
I'm doing my fun day today, which is all arms and shoulder stuff. So that's
What
gonna
a
be,
fun day.
It's gonna be by myself, headphones in, and you can't have sleeves on fun day. Scott Morris knows this. He came to the gym one time
Scott
on
Morris,
fun
our
day.
editor on the creator.
He came in to the gym on fun day one time with sleeves on. We made him go back to his car.
Did you really?
Oh
and go
my
get.
God.
That's so funny. That's so funny.
All right, well, catch us next time on our podcast of Sips and Clips. And we hope that you guys have a great week and also feel motivated to go to the gym and work out.
Thank you, guys. Sips and Clips is a podcast produced by Lian McFalls and Michael Schusterman. Graphic by Max Schulman. Sound mixing by Zach Griffin. Follow us on Instagram at Sips and Clips Pod. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe.